We're in Willsboro, New York on June 5th, 2009, a beautiful summer-like day, 75 degrees, and we're here to celebrate Sid Couchey. It's the quadricentennial of Samuel de Champlain's little trip down Lake Champlain that happened 400 years ago, and our friend, 90-year-old cartoonist Sid Couchey from down the road in Essex has been drawing and painting Champy and Champ pictures for a long, long time. And last year in 2008, they displayed a lot of Sid's works right here at this building behind us, the Willsboro Heritage Center Museum. And this year they're going to focus on Champ stuff. And this display will be opening tonight. They'll have an opening ceremony. There'll be a lot of nice people here. And as far as I know, this display will be here for the rest of the year. It's right next to the old Willsboro High School. For those of you who may have attended school here, we're going to let you wax nostalgic, or we're spit on.
The gymnasium was known as the spit pit by
was
the
it
visiting
really?
teams, yeah, for very good reason too.
Oh my goodness. I have never been in this school to the best of my knowledge, and all of the schools I attended way back when are long gone. But Sid is approaching now. He came with his beautiful hat that he always wears at these occasions. We had the great pleasure of attending his birthday luncheon, which we'll be showing you as part of this program on the occasion of his 90th birthday. And he's a charming guy and a good friend, and somebody walked up to me and said, "Oh, you got the Yankee hat on. Sid's a Cleveland fan, you know." And I said, "Why do you think I wore the hat today?" We'll see his reaction when we get inside as we celebrate our dear friend Sid Couchey. Well, we're inside the foyer, and we saw a sign, "Seen Champy lately?" Sid has. What a great entrance, huh? Sid is at the door greeting his many fans who have come to see him here tonight in Willsboro. It's a beautiful spot, an historic building, and before we leave here tonight, I will try to find out how this building started its life. It looks like it might have been a bank or a fortress of some kind. It's built out of stone. It looks like it will stay here for a long, long time. I heard Sid saying to somebody who walked in the door, "When you come in here, remember, you're underwater all the time you're in here." We got blue backgrounds. We got seaweed hanging from the rafters. We got, look at Sid up there. How did he get up there? Isn't that amazing? We're going to have to find out the history of that too, Cal. That's terrific.
That's something that they did last year.
Oh, they did?
And they had it in that other room from here, and I got a picture of him and Sid together, and they look remarkably alike.
Which one was the Memorex, right? It's a wonderful evening, and you couldn't pick a better day. And in late spring, let's say, still 15 days away from official start of summer. And it's nice in these little rural communities to do things like this, especially during the quadricentennial year when there are lots of wonderful events happening all up and down both sides of Lake Champlain. Sid Couchey is full of surprises. He said, "Follow me." He went to Brack and brought out this. Now you have to tell our audience what the history is.
History, well, he was once a cowboy known as Colorado Cow. And I was Sid the Kid, and I rode a horseback. I was a horseback rider with not a bump in the road, just like fluid. And I looked back 10 miles behind, and I found out he didn't catch up because he's riding his horse backwards.
That'll do it.
Yeah, and today, this is a present day shot of him. He's still rides just like this.
The east side going west, huh?
Guys never learn. Anyway.
Well, you know, just to let our viewers know, this is an excerpt, if you will, from the Tom Tyler Tales couple of comic books that Calvin masterminded with our good friend Sidney here and the late Arto Monaco, our dear late friend, to try to honor Tom Tyler, almost a local boy from the Witherby, Port Henry area. Didn't you tell me on the way down here, Calvin, that they were planning something tomorrow, which would be June 6th?
They're doing something mainly on the silent movies, but they're also going to be running Captain Marvel, which starred Tom Tyler. So yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? Talk a little bit more. Isn't that what a nice presentation to
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Cactus Cal. What a guy.
Colorado Cal.
Colorado Cactus.
Colorado Cal.
It was fun drawing those comic books, wasn't it?
It was a lot of fun, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of the 18th sequel. We haven't come up with anything yet, though. Between space and cowboys. The spacey cowboys, I guess. Anyway.
How many different works of art do we have in here about Champion tonight?
I don't know exactly, but there's got to be probably 60 or more.
Really?
Yeah. It's the biggest collection of champions I've ever gotten together at all.
I think it's the biggest collection of champions anybody's ever gotten together.
All right.
So you've been drawing him for how many years, do you think?
Well, I've been drawing him for 40 years anyway.
Have you really?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's changed very much in your drawings, except for the one you did for Dr. Nancy Church, we noticed in the other room.
Yeah, now it's out. Now it's out.
Now it's out. The world will know.
She's got a unique champy.
I love it. Champy, for those of you who might be watching this anywhere on the internet, Champy is our own special Lake Champlain monster. Lots of lakes and bodies of water have sea monsters, and we read about sea monsters in history and see the old engravings, but this is our Champy.
This is the real thing.
This is the real thing. What were you going to say, Cal?
Well, it's easy for Sid to draw a Lake Champlain monster because dinosaurs were still roaming around when he was a kid.
Well, yeah. Think about it.
Well, I'd rather think about something else, if you don't mind.
But Champy is unique. In the quadricentennial year, of course, Champy and Champ are named after Lake Champlain, which is named after Samuel D. Champlain. And so it was natural for you to start. You remember the first one you did, Sid?
Well, that one I did from the real model, and Champy was very small. And I'm very young in that age, so I don't show that anymore. It wouldn't fill up a picture or anything. But I used the real Champion as a real model when I first started out.
Well, of course you would have to do that. Yeah. And now we're doing this on the 5th day of June. Just a few days ago, some young guy with a cell phone over somewhere near Burlington shot something swimming through the water, and it created quite a stir on YouTube. Yeah. And people are saying, no, it's a immature moose, and they've called Champy a sturgeon and a big snake and a lot of things over the years. But you and I know better.
Yeah, well, just send them over to me, and I'll give them the really critical breakdown of Champy and all the descriptions. He's a dromedary, one hump, and well, all kinds of scientific. It's way over their heads.
You try to bring it down to us poor folks, though, don't you?
Yeah.
But your Champy paintings and your drawings are wonderful, are legendary, are iconic. When's the last time you drew one?
Well, there's a three-dimensional one outside, which I just completed this afternoon.
Oh, come on. Did you really?
Yeah. Well, I started in 2007, but I just put some dots on the tail this afternoon. Anyway,
Isn't that great? You tried to have a marriage between the Loch Ness Monster and the Lake Champlain monster one time,
that's right.
and it never quite came together.
Yeah.
I was in favor of it.
Yeah, I still have the picture of it, but
Do you really?
Yeah, but at home. But that's for another exhibit. I don't want to give Nessie too much room on our Champy thing.
Well, they didn't follow through too much on the other side of the pond. But we're gonna look around, talk to some of your friends tonight, and let you bask in the glow. Okay, Sid?
Do you mind if I pick out the friends you talk to? Well, okay.
If you can find one or two, huh?
Yeah, if they're. Oh, but did you see the gift that Jack Williams gave me?
No.
This is not for television.
Oh. Well, it looks like Champy has made a famous friend here. And isn't it appropriate during the quadricentennial year that we should start by showing a picture of Samuel de Champlain with Champy, and it's a perfect likeness of both of them. For those people who come and see the exhibit, and we hope most of you will, you'll see history of Sid Couchey. You might even meet Charlie Lewis, who just came in over my shoulder. How are you, Charles? But it's nice to see. This is a beautiful building. Of course, I've been to Willsboro many times, but never have been inside this wonderful cultural heritage museum. And I'm delighted to be here tonight. We're going to show as many of the images that Sid has made over the years. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful, huh?
There's your Loch Ness Monster. And
we knew there'd be and Champ and Richie Rich, and always that little bird, and Sid's legendary iconic signature with the bug. I wonder how many things he signed over the last 70 some odd years. I forgot to ask him when he first did that bug. I suppose he might have told us at one point or another.
He did in one of his interviews. Yeah. Just check the tapes. We've got it.
Check the tapes, yeah.
We've got history.
You can find them, most of them, on Plattsburgh.com. It's wonderful to see all of his friends here tonight. There are probably 50 or 60 people here. So far, this is the opening of the Champy exhibit in Willsboro. Again, if you get an opportunity to come down here with your family sometime this summer and find out who Sid Couchey is and who Champy is, you'll get to meet both of them, because they've both been around for a long, long time. Now we're going to get the lowdown. How are you?
I am fine.
Who are you?
My name is Patty Payne.
Patty, we're delighted to be here tonight. Isn't this fabulous?
It is a wonderful, wonderful show for an extraordinary man.
We agree with you wholeheartedly. There aren't very many people in this area who don't know Sid, who haven't seen his work, and we're thrilled to be here, and we hope many people come and see this exhibit. This is the first night of the exhibit.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit more about how long it will last, when you're going to be open, and how it works.
It will be on for the summer, and the museum is not open every day, but it is open on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and some Fridays as well. And so we hope that people will come and visit us and enjoy the show as much as we've enjoyed putting it together.
Every community should have a fabulous heritage museum like this one. What a building! How did it begin its life?
The building was built originally as a bank.
Ta-da! I guessed that.
Yes, and it was built by Augustus G. Payne, who
a relative.
Actually a relative, yes. My husband's grandfather.
No kidding.
Yes, and he came to Willsboro originally to rescue a paper mill, which was not doing very well here. He was sent up by his father to rescue it, and he fell in love with this part of the world, and by the time he was finished, he built a bank for the community, and he built a library, which is right next door.
Isn't that great? We walked up, and I hadn't stopped here to look at the old high school in a long, long time. What's going to happen to that building, do you know?
Well, the building is in the process of, we hope, being turned into a senior citizen residence.
That's what I had heard, but then I noticed the windows, and I said, well, maybe not yet, huh?
Not quite yet, but you know, there's many different things and permissions that you have to get. There's always that kind of thing that goes on. And so, but there's a young young man who is extremely able and still in his 20s, and he's determined that this will happen, and I'm sure that it will.
I love it. And you'll be right next door.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a wonderful family connection you have with this great heritage museum here.
Well, we feel very lucky because it's no longer, it wasn't used as a bank, became part of the Willsboro School for a while, was used as a part of the school, and then a new school was built, so what was going to happen to this building? Couldn't be a better thing than to become the Heritage Society.
Isn't that just terrific? And I know you've known and loved Sid for a long time, but isn't it great just to have him here? Now, you had a display last year too, right?
Yes, we had a display last year of Sid's works that were not related to the Champy theme. It was other works that he had here. And so we decided that this year we should have one that was dedicated solely to the Champy theme, which he's so famous for.
How could you not do that during the quadricentennial year?
Absolutely. It just goes right into the whole theme of the lake, and of course the Champy is something which we all like to believe in.
Don't we, though?
Yes.
It's great, and every one of these drawings and paintings brings a smile to your face the minute you see it, doesn't it?
Well, it really does, and Sid is so clever because his series of Champy paintings that relate to particular artists like Picasso,
yes.
Those ones are particularly show Sid's humor,
yes.
And he has a great deal of humor.
Great humor. Even at age 90, if you could have heard the jokes that were being cracked at his breakfast luncheon on his 90th birthday, you would have said, that's our Sid.
Well, this is it, and he and his wife Ruth have been such wonderful members of our community, and we're so happy that they're having several celebrations. You heard, I think this year Ruth's going to be 80, and they're having their 50th wedding anniversary.
Isn't it great?
Isn't it extraordinary? All those major milestones, right, in 2009.
Just terrific. Patty, thanks so much for talking for a minute.
Well, not at all.
Thanks so much for everything you do here.
Well, not at all. It's wonderful to have you here and to have all these people with us this evening.
Thanks, Patty.
Bye now.
It's actually a bigger building than it appears from the outside. There are a couple of rooms here with Sid's work all the way around him, and there is no trouble filling up the walls. The gal who put this together has done murals on the walls, so you see little bits of Champy going in and out of doors, and a paper mache version of Champy going right through the wall over on the other corner. It's just great. A lot of wonderful smiling faces. We just saw Dr. Nancy Church come in, and as I mentioned before, Nancy is the one that first introduced Sid and myself many, many years ago when she had published a book on marketing, and Sid did part of it, and I did a little part of it, and we sat together and had a lot more in common than we realized. So it's great to have Sid as a friend for many years. He's the kind of guy who does make your life a little bit better, doesn't he? Huh?
What's that old thing? Nobody doesn't like Sarah Lee.
Oh, I know.
Nobody doesn't like Sid Couchey.
That's how can they not? How can they not? And at age 90, his humor and his wit is just as sharp as it ever was.
Yeah, let's talk about this painting that's not here.
All right, shall we show it?
Yeah, we'll show
All
this
right.
here now.
This is important for you, Calvin. Tell everybody why.
Well, when you and I and Sid went down to the Cartoon Museum in Ticonderoga, we saw this picture right here that we're looking at. This was at least 2, maybe 3 years ago. And Sid, of course, was thinking ahead to 2009, and he did his painting of Samuel D. Champlain pointing out into Lake Champlain, what would become known as Lake Champlain, the Native American, and spotting Champy, which historians tell us might have been a big sturgeon, but
never mind.
Anyway, he described it in his journal, and I got thinking about that, and I said, I think a nice project for the Woodman of the World would be to get Sid to elaborate on there, put Samuel D. Champlain, kind of like he's standing over there in Isle of Mont, which is where he landed when he first crossed what would become the border. First place he stopped on this side of what would become the United States was at Isle of Mont. And we got him looking across at New York State. We see the windmills and the airplanes and the farms and churches and Rouse's Point, the Korean Veterans Memorial Bridge, and of course Champy, but a lot of people out enjoying the lake, doing some bass fishing and sailing and water skiing and all those things that we know, and of course a few birds up in the air also. But,
he's got it all. I mean, it's all packed into this picture, isn't it?
I just told Sid to add a few things, and this is what he came up with. And
isn't it great?
The Woodman this summer, we're going to give that. We're not, at this point, not quite sure. May end up, I don't want to say where it may end up, but the original of that is going to be given out. It's 1609 to 2009, and it's Champlain, 400 years ago, looking across at what would happen to the North Country.
It's a classic.
And who else but Sid could render that drawing? So.
No, nobody in the world, nobody could draw like this anyway. And you and I have had the pleasure of seeing many cartoons. I've had the pleasure of meeting quite a few cartoonists over the years, but Sid is, he's in an art class all by himself. And we're so blessed that he decided to come, that his family decided to come here all those years ago. That he worked in New York for Harvey Comics, drawing Richie Rich and the other cartoon characters we know and love, and did a lot of work right from his own dining room and living room and who knows whatever other rooms right there in Essex, New York, where he and Ruth have lived for a long, long time. And isn't it great to have them both here with us today?
Yeah, he's got former governor now, but governor at the time, George Pataki, meeting Champ. Sandy Treadway is there, along with Sid, and that's one of the great...
Pataki's got a home not very far away.
Yeah, just a couple miles from Sid's homestead. And of course, Richie Rich, Little Lotta is what he's most famous for. Although I tried to make him famous for Tom Tyler, but...
You did your best, and those comic books are still classics. And I suppose you'd be willing to answer questions from people that might want to contact you about these comic books. Because some people watching this program have no idea about Tom Tyler and Tom Tyler Tales. But this was one of your many labors of love, Calvin, and two versions, and they're both classics, and they're great treasures of mine. I just about worn mine out showing them to people. You might be able to sell them one or two, huh, if they ask you about it?
Well, I would, if people are that interested. Or they can contact Sid. I can make some available through Sid, and Sid
Sure.
can sell them.
Some of these paintings they're certainly wonderful, imaginative. You think of young children and imagination, but think of a 90-year-old guy. And many of these paintings have been done by Sid, since he was 70 years old, and that would go back 20 years. And to think of somebody at age 90 being able to draw these colorful, youthful pictures, and that's because he feels in his mind the same way as he did all those years ago. They're great ones.
Well, the one you got in your hand that was done last year.
89 years old.
89 years old, and
isn't that great?
Last year at this time, when we had the festivities here, he was showing for the first time a composite that he'd done of Richie Rich covers, and some collector out in, I believe, in California had commissioned him to do it, and just a tremendous thing. That's at 88 and 89 years old.
There you go.
So he's still going strong.
He's still very active in drawing, as far as I know, every day of his life.
Yeah, that's what keeps him young.
Yeah.
His great imagination and great sense of humor.
Well, there's a little reception going outside. You're missing the food, Calvin. I see what's going on. You got little tents out on the side. Look at this one. Isn't that great?
Yeah, well, I told Sid I'd come as long as there was food. So
yeah, of course.
He made sure there was food.
Of course. We want to show as many of these pictures as we can.
We're not going to dwell on them, though, because we want folks to hop in their car and
come down here and take a look around.
$3 a gallon gas.
You got that, to come here, sure thing. Oh, I love, this is one of my all-time favorites. Champy visits a shanty. Who but Sid would be able to come up with this?
A scene from Beluga Bay, huh?
Yeah.
And a Yankee hat flies
out. Of course. I love it. Well, it makes sense that he would have been around the Ark anyway, huh?
Sure. I don't see Mrs. Champy. There have to be two of them.
Oh, yes. Look at that. Isn't that great? That's a novel idea, too, isn't it?
Yeah. It's full of them. Not sure who those folks are.
Well, I think it says Champy fighting the British on Lake Champlain, so there you go.
Maybe he was at the Battle of Plattsburgh or the Battle of Valcourt.
I think maybe he helped out a little bit anyway, huh?
Wow, that explains a lot.
You think so, huh?
It was tough to get everybody in this one, buddy.
Isn't it amazing?
You got his Rascal the Raccoon there, and Champy, and his Harvey Comics folks.
You know, I'm just thinking, Calvin, the people who are watching this program for the first time somewhere on the internet, who may never have heard of Sid Couchey or Wilkesboro, New York, Calvin Castine or Gordy Little, but they have seen Harvey Comics and grown up with Richie Rich and Little Otter and the rest of them. And I'm sure this program will be interesting, humorous, and historical and educational for everybody. Ron Jackson's here.
Yes, sir.
Supervisor for Essex.
Correct. Yes, sir.
You and I did a show way back when. How many years ago, Calvin? 6? 7?
4 or 5 anyway.
It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
We showed it only recently. right there in Plattsburgh. So what do you think of our boy Sid here?
Well, I've always been impressed with Sid since I was a young boy when he moved back to town, and I'd met him, but I hadn't got to know him before that. And he's very, very talented. The imagination that flows through that brain is just unimaginable. It's an unimaginable imagination.
And the humor that he's got at age 90.
Hasn't lost a thing.
He is in his glory here tonight.
Still as sharp as a tack. Hasn't lost a thing.
Part of our show was the luncheon they had for him at the Essex Community Church on his 90th birthday. We had our cameras there and caught a lot of the speeches, and he was properly roasted, although I didn't wear my Yankee hat that day. I
should have.
Tonight on purpose.
You should have. I was going to be there, but I was in the ambulance that day, and I missed the dinner.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, as an EMT.
Oh, okay. You're scaring me to death, Ron.
Well, I've been there the other way recently, but fortunately I've healed up. Yeah.
But it's nice. Calvin and I love to spotlight the history of these little communities up and down Lake Champlain. But here we have 90 years of history right behind us.
Well, the thing is, it's nice that something like this can be preserved and admired while Sid is here. So often when you have something like this, it's after the person has passed and they can't hear the comments and of course the roasting, which he appreciates more than the praise. So it's great that we can do this now, and Sid can be here to enjoy it with us.
And there isn't anybody, I'm sure, visiting this exhibit tonight who hasn't had a golden moment or two with Sid over the years, and we certainly, Calvin and I have had many. And it's just so great to know a guy like that. I said earlier in the program, your life is enriched just by knowing him, and Ruth too, you know.
Absolutely. Did you happen to make it up Montreal when he threw out the first pitch?
Here's the guy that organized the whole thing.
But I didn't know if you were there. No, I remember he organized it.
I wasn't there, but I did see it on television.
I tell you, everybody was rolling in the aisles laughing. Oh, that was wonderful.
And he had to ham it up a little bit, didn't he?
Always does. And of course, what's his name from Plattsburgh there sang the anthem. Cortland sang the anthem the same day, so that was great day for the North Country, that's for sure.
And Judge Charlie Lewis is here tonight, and you know, they have their little Hall of Fame, and isn't it great, Calvin?
And Charlie's the one who inducted him into the Hall of Fame.
I know, he sure did.
It takes a judge to do something like that.
Oh yes,
you know?
To do a lot of things.
Yeah.
But isn't it? It's great to have this kind of exhibit here, and to have. I mean, he's a local treasure, no question about it.
Without any question at all, and it's like, you know, most people have seen some of these. Yeah. But to have them all here so you can see it once is a great opportunity, and I hope people take advantage of it.
We do. Ron, it's so great to see you again. We haven't changed a bit over the years.
Not a bit. Not a bit.
We never lie.
We're not often.
See you later, Ron.
Thank you, and thank you. Yeah.
They talk about the distaff side, and here is the distaff side. Ruthie, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I want to know when that
Great
50th anniversary is.
That's not till November.
November?
But our daughter is planning something in July, with sort of taking the 90, 80, 50 all together.
We heard about that 90, 50, 80 routine earlier tonight. Isn't this great to be here with Sid tonight and to share with us, as you've shared so many things for all those years?
It's wonderful. I enjoy this. You know, we get to see everyone we haven't seen in a long time.
I try to get the camera on you during the luncheon to see how hard you were laughing at some of the roasting jokes. But wasn't that was just so fun?
That was such fun. It was really funny. I enjoyed that. It was. I couldn't believe how much we enjoyed that. And Sid laughed so hard he needed a Kleenex.
My wife said he's never going to stop laughing. They were great jokes, and it was just a wonderful time. Has there ever been a time, Ruthie, when Sid said, "Ruth, I'm never going to draw another line"?
Never. Oh no. He's going to. If he's in bed, he'd be drawing.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, always drawing. He enjoys it.
I asked him how many pictures and paintings were here, and he said, I don't know, maybe about 80.
Never counted, no?
You know, he and I have talked many times, and we've talked with you, and I have no idea whether he was precocious as a small child. Did he draw pictures even in grade school?
He said before he went to school, he'd go down, he'd put the comic page on the floor and copy the comics.
No, isn't that interesting?
Before he even went to school.
So you think there might have been a master plan there somewhere?
always loved to draw, and always loved to draw comics. Yeah.
That's amazing. And you and he have been through a lot over the years. You've seen a lot from the front room and the porch of your nice little house there in Essex.
Yeah.
Can you ever imagine living anywhere else now?
No. I do enjoy the 4 months down south, though.
Oh, yes.
I miss the winter. I don't really miss it.
You and my wife feel exactly the same way. Ruthie, thanks so much for being here.
Okay.
Thanks so much for holding this guy up for the last 50 years. Oops, there he goes again. Thanks, Ruthie.
Okay.
See you later, kiddo. We came back inside with Ann Porter for a good reason. Or should I say Ann Chevalier? Why not?
I go by Porter.
I know that. Because you're a real Sid Couchey fan, and you put your money where your mouth is, right, Ann?
Well, I have over the years.
So
yes.
How many of Sid's works do you have now?
We have 8 here on display at the museum that we loan to them, and we have a couple more at home, and my grandchildren also have another few, about 12.
Isn't that the greatest? This is a guy who's a wonderful friend, but he also becomes very close to your family when he starts doing pictures of your grandchildren.
Well, what he did was we commissioned him to do Christmas gifts for each grandchild to have a painting of his, and he painted it around whatever sport they were involved in.
Isn't that great?
But those paintings are on Long Island with the grandchildren now.
Why not? I'm sure his work has traveled far and wide.
Right.
I think it's amazing that they gathered this many together. Well, how did you first hear they were going to do this?
They contacted me.
Oh, they did?
Sid told them who had some of the larger collections, I think, because they were looking for enough to have the display. So they contacted me to see if they could borrow them for the summer.
I think that's great. Which ones do you have here? Now, this is yours.
This is my favorite.
Oh, everybody says it's their favorite.
No, this one is my favorite, and it was one of his wife's favorites, and actually I had to really beg them to sell me this because...
Oh, Ruthie didn't want to see it
go?
No,
she really didn't. It was on display at a show, and she did not really want to sell it. I did have to beg for this.
You know, it helps when your wife is your biggest fan, and sometimes it doesn't when you want to sell something.
I did notice she has some other ones here that I would like very much.
Oh, really?
Too.
Yes. You better stand in line, boy. Sid was busy signing lots of things. You have another one down here, too, right?
I I do.
All right, let's get down here. Tell me about it.
This one is probably my second favorite because the boat says Lake Champlain on it. And since we live in Port Kent and overlook the lake, we have a lot of emotions about Lake Champlain. And this actually was on the TV art auction back, I don't know how many years ago.
Oh, I remember that.
There was a lot of...
There was some stiff bidding that night.
There was some very stiff bidding that night. Somebody wasn't giving it up too readily.
I wonder if that was Ruth.
I don't know who it was, but they also don't know me very well. Usually I don't get outbid when I really want something. And I did want this painting very much.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
You keep these on display in your home?
I do. I actually, most of these were in my office in Keysville.
Kidding.
A few were at home, but most of them I had in my office.
Isn't that the best?
So people can see them.
Isn't it nice to be able to share this now?
It's very nice.
With everybody else who might stop here.
My third favorite right across from us is the Richie Rich one.
All right, just come on right over here.
Which I think probably also would have been a special one for Sid too, because of Richie Rich. But this one I think is quite nice with Richie and his helicopter.
Well, that's 11 years ago already. Look at when he did that in 1998.
And I can't remember when I started collecting. Quite some time ago.
Have you known Sid personally for a long time?
Well, we were in Kiwanis. He was in the Willsboro, Essex Kiwanis, and we were in the Keysville Kiwanis, so we knew him through Kiwanis Club also. I actually am not sure when we met him.
Once you meet Sid, you never forget it.
It's been a long time.
Isn't it wonderful?
It is. When Bill had his 80th birthday party, and it was our open house, Sid came and drew him a nice little birthday card for his book, which was very nice too.
Isn't that the best?
I think he does that for everybody.
That's great.
It's great.
And it was so pleasant for me to see you here tonight and to know that you donated some of these paintings for the rest of the summer.
Well, thank you.
You may get them back, and maybe
I better get them back.
Thanks, Ann.
You're welcome.
The evening is almost nigh in the little hamlet of Willsboro, and I must tell you this has been one of the great experiences of my life, but I try to find pleasure in everything I do. At this little heritage museum that was formerly a bank way back when, we have the opening of the Couchey Exhibit by our dear friend, and you might even call him a colleague. We've done so many things together with Sid Couchey, and I realized after I saw Dr. Nancy Church tonight that she introduced me to Sid in 1981, and that's the first time she had met him too. My life is better for it, and I hope yours is. I want to tell you that all of his friends and many of his relatives drove from New Jersey to be here. One of his nephews is here tonight, and lots of other great people to wish Sid well, and it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. And we love Ruth as well and the rest of their family. Now, I want to tell you that we did attend his 90th birthday luncheon at the Essex Community Church, and that will close out this portion of our little corner, and I hope you enjoy that as well. So have a great time, everybody, and thank you for watching this program and all the others.